I've spent more than 40 years studying success, achievement, and personal growth. I've worked with entrepreneurs, executives, salespeople, and leaders in more than 80 countries. And through all those years, one truth has become crystal clear to me. Personal development is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not talent alone. And it is certainly not something reserved for a special group of people. Personal development is a decision. It's a decision you make every single day to become a little bit better than you were yesterday. And in this video, I want to share with you 3 powerful keys to personal development that can completely change the direction of your life if you truly apply them. Before we begin, let me ask you a question. What is the #1 area of your life that you want to improve right now? Is it your career, your finances, your confidence, your discipline, your mindset? Think about it for a moment and then go ahead and write it in the comments below. I'd really love to know. Because the first step to personal development is awareness, becoming clear about where you are and where you want to go. Now here is something I learned early in my career that changed everything for me. Your outer world will always reflect your inner world. If you want to improve your results, you must first improve yourself. If you want to earn more, you must become more valuable. If you want better opportunities, you must become the kind of person those opportunities are looking for. Personal development is the process of deliberately upgrading the most powerful asset you will ever own yourself. And the most successful people in the world understand this deeply. They invest more time in developing themselves than most people spend consuming entertainment. They read more, they learn more, they think more, they grow more. And that brings me to the first key to personal development. The first key is absolute clarity of direction. One of the biggest reasons is people struggle in life because they simply don't know what they want. They drift from job to job, idea to idea, goal to goal, without ever making a clear decision about where they're going. Imagine getting into a taxi and telling the driver, just drive. You would end up anywhere and it probably wouldn't be where you wanted to go. Yet that's exactly how many people live their lives. They move, but they don't progress. They work, but they don't advance. They stay busy, but they don't become better. Clarity changes everything. When you become crystal clear about what you want, your brain begins working like a goal-seeking missile. Your attention sharpens, your decisions improve, your confidence grows, and suddenly opportunities begin appearing that you never noticed before. In my own life, one simple habit transformed my level of clarity. Every single day, I began writing down my goals. Not once a year, not once a month, every single day. And something remarkable happens when you do this. Your goals begin to dominate your thinking. Your mind starts searching constantly for ways to achieve them. You begin to see possibilities where others only see problems. Let me challenge you with something powerful. Take a piece of paper and write down 10 goals you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Then ask yourself one simple question. If I could accomplish only one of these goals in the next 12 months, which one would have the greatest positive impact on my life? Circle that goal. That goal becomes your primary focus, your mission, your direction. People with clear goals accomplish 10 times more than people without them. And this is not motivation. This is a documented principle of human performance. Clarity is power, but clarity alone is not enough. Which brings me to the second key to personal development. The second key is continuous learning. In the modern world, your ability to learn faster than others may be the single greatest competitive advantage you can develop. Everything is changing faster than ever before. Industries evolve, technology advances, skills become obsolete. And the people who thrive are the ones who constantly upgrade their knowledge. The average professional might read 1 book a year, but the top performers, the top 10% in almost every field, read dozens. They listen to audiobooks. They attend seminars. They study their craft. They treat learning like an investment, not an obligation. I discovered early on that every skill is learnable. Confidence is learnable. Leadership is learnable. Communication is learnable. Sales is learnable. Productivity is learnable. And the more you learn, the more valuable you become. Let me share a simple formula I've taught for years. Read for at least 30 to 60 minutes every day in your chosen field. If you do that consistently, you will read between 20 and 50 books per year. In just a few years, you will know more about your field than most people who have been in it for decades. And here's the fascinating part. The more you learn, the more confident you become. Because knowledge reduces fear, competence builds courage, and courage drives action. Many people want success, but they resist the learning process required to achieve it. They want results without growth. But success always travels with preparation. Every hour you invest in learning compounds over time. One new idea can change your career. One skill can double your income. One insight can save you years of struggle. And the beautiful thing about personal development is that no one can take it away from you. When you develop new knowledge and new abilities, they become permanent assets. They go with you wherever you go. But even clarity and learning together still aren't enough, because there is a third key that determines whether your personal development actually transforms your life or remains just an interesting idea. And this third key is the one that separates dreamers from achievers. It is the key of disciplined action. But before we go deeper into that, let me ask you something important. How much time do you currently invest each day in improving yourself? Be honest with yourself. Is it 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? Or are most of your evenings spent scrolling, watching, and consuming instead of growing? Write your answer in the comments, because awareness is the first step toward transformation. Now let me continue with the third key to personal development. And in my experience, this is where the real transformation happens. The third key is disciplined action. Over the years, I've met thousands of intelligent, talented, capable people who knew exactly what they should do to improve their lives, but they didn't do it. They had the books, they had the courses, they had the plans, but they lacked the one ingredient that turns knowledge into results: action. You see, personal development without action is just entertainment. You can read every book ever written about success, but unless you act on what you learn, your life will remain exactly the same. And here's an important truth I want you to remember. The bridge between who you are today and who you want to become is built with disciplined daily action. Not once in a while, not when you feel inspired, but every single day. Discipline is the ability to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. And this single quality, self-discipline, is often the biggest predictor of long-term success. In fact, researchers have discovered something fascinating. People with higher levels of self-discipline tend to outperform people with higher levels of intelligence in many areas of life. Why? Because intelligence may tell you what to do, but discipline is what actually gets it done. Let me give you a simple example. Two people decide they want to become more knowledgeable in their field. One reads for 30 minutes every day. The other reads only when they feel like it. 6 months later, the first person has read several books, absorbed dozens of ideas, and developed valuable insights. The second person has barely begun. Same opportunity, different discipline, completely different results. Discipline compounds just like money in the bank. Every small action you take toward improvement builds momentum. Every habit you strengthen increases your confidence. And over time, the gap between disciplined people and undisciplined people becomes enormous. I've often said that success is predictable. If you do what other successful people do long enough, you will eventually get the same results. Success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues is consistency, not intensity, not bursts of motivation, consistency. Let me share a powerful habit that can dramatically increase your level of disciplined action. At the beginning of every day, make a list of everything you need to accomplish. Then organize that list by priority. Ask yourself this question: what is the most important thing I could do today that would have the greatest positive impact on my life or career? Then start with that task first. Work on it until it is completed. Do not procrastinate. Do not switch to something easier. Stay focused until the job is done. When you develop the habit of starting with your most important task, you train your mind to prioritize progress instead of comfort. And this is one of the defining habits of high achievers. Most people do the opposite. They start with the easiest task. They check emails. They scroll through messages. They look for distractions. And before they realize it, the day is gone. The most successful people understand something very important. Your time is your life. Every hour you spend either moves you closer to your goals or further away from them. There is no neutral. This is why discipline action is so powerful. It transforms intention into achievement. Now here is something else I want you to think about. Many people believe discipline is painful. They think discipline means forcing yourself to suffer through things you dislike. But the truth is very different. Discipline actually creates freedom. When you develop discipline with your time, you gain control over your schedule. When you develop discipline with money, you gain financial freedom. When you develop discipline with learning, you gain intellectual power. When you develop discipline with your habits, you gain confidence. The temporary discomfort of discipline is always smaller than the long-term pain of regret. Let me say that again because it's important. The temporary discomfort of discipline is always smaller than the long-term pain of regret. Years from now, you will not regret the books you read. You will not regret the skills you learn. You will not regret the hours you invested in improving yourself. But many people deeply regret the time they wasted. And time, once gone, never returns. That's why personal development must become a daily commitment, not something you do occasionally, not something you think about when you feel motivated, but something that becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is constantly improving, someone who is always learning, someone who takes action on their goals. When that shift happens in your identity, your behavior begins to change naturally. Your standards rise, your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, and opportunities begin to appear that were invisible before. Let me share another important truth about disciplined action. Progress builds motivation. Most people believe motivation comes first. They think they must feel inspired before they start. But in reality, motivation often appears after you begin. When you take action, even small action, your brain releases energy and enthusiasm. You begin to feel momentum, and momentum creates motivation. So if you ever feel stuck, remember this simple principle. Don't wait to feel motivated. Start moving. Take the smallest possible step toward your goal. Read one page. Write one paragraph. Practice one skill. Make one call. Small actions break inertia. And once you break inertia, progress becomes easier and easier. This is how powerful habits are formed. One disciplined action repeated daily eventually becomes automatic. And when positive habits become automatic, your life begins to transform almost effortlessly. But there is one more important piece to personal development that many people overlook. It is the force that multiplies clarity, learning, and disciplined action. Without it, progress becomes slow. With it, growth accelerates dramatically. And in the final part, I'm going to share how you can combine these three keys into a powerful daily system that can completely reshape your future. And I'll also show you why the most successful people in the world treat personal development not as an activity, but as a lifelong mission. So, before we move into part 3, I want you to reflect on something. Which of these three areas do you feel you need to improve the most right now? Clarity of goals, continuous learning, or disciplined action? Write your answer in the comments, because awareness creates the starting point for growth, and your answer might be the first step toward a completely new level of success in your life. Now let's bring everything together. We've talked about the three keys to personal development: clarity of direction, continuous learning, and disciplined action. But the real power of these ideas appears when you combine them into a simple daily system. Because personal development is not something you do once in a while. It's something you live. It becomes part of how you think, how you plan your day, and how you approach every challenge in your life. Let me show you how this works. First, you begin with clarity. Every morning, you remind yourself what you are working toward. You review your goals. You rewrite them if necessary. Think about the person you want to become. When your goals are clear, your mind begins organizing your day around them. You start asking better questions. What is the most important thing I can do today? What action would move me closer to my biggest goal? And when you ask better questions, you get better answers. That's the first step of the system. The second step is learning. Every day, you feed your mind with new ideas, new insights, and new knowledge. Successful people guard their minds carefully. They understand that what you put into your mind determines what comes out in your actions. If you constantly consume negativity, distractions, and meaningless content, your thinking becomes scattered and weak. But when you feed your mind with ideas about growth, success, leadership, and improvement, something powerful begins to happen. Your thinking becomes sharper. Your creativity expands. Your confidence grows. You start seeing solutions where others only see problems. Even 30 minutes a day of focused learning can completely transform your future. Imagine where you will be 5 years from now if you read powerful books every single day. Imagine how much stronger your thinking will become. Imagine how many opportunities you will recognize that others completely miss. Personal development compounds just like interest in a bank account. Small daily investments eventually create extraordinary results. And that leads to the third step: disciplined action. Once you have clarity and knowledge, you must act. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Every successful person I've studied has developed the habit of taking immediate action on valuable ideas. They don't wait, they move. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates bigger action, and the cycle of growth begins. Think about it this way. Your future is not determined by the goals you set. It is determined by the actions you take after setting them. Goals provide direction, but action is taken, creates results. I want to share something with you that many people never realize. Your life begins to change the moment you take responsibility for your own development. The moment you stop waiting for circumstances to improve and start improving yourself. When you make that decision, everything changes. You become more focused. You become more proactive. You begin to see yourself as the architect of your own future. And that mindset is incredibly powerful. Because once you believe that you can improve yourself, you begin to see growth opportunities everywhere. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every mistake becomes feedback. Every setback becomes preparation for a greater comeback. Over the years, I have seen people completely transform their lives using these exact principles. People who once doubted themselves became confident leaders. People who struggled financially built successful careers and businesses. People who felt stuck discovered new purpose and direction. And the reason was not luck. The reason was personal development. They made a decision to grow. They committed to learning. And they disciplined themselves to act consistently. Let me tell you something very important. You are far more capable than you think. There are talents inside you that you have not yet developed. There are abilities inside you that are waiting to be discovered. And there is potential inside you that could completely change the direction of your life. But potential alone means nothing unless it is developed. That is why personal development is so powerful. It turns potential into performance. It turns dreams into plans. And it turns plans into reality. So I want to challenge you with something simple but powerful. Starting today, commit to improving yourself every single day. Write your goals. Learn something valuable. Take one important action toward your future. Just one. Because one action repeated daily becomes progress. Progress repeated over months becomes transformation. And transformation repeated over years creates an extraordinary life. Imagine who you could become if you follow this process consistently. Imagine the confidence you would feel. Imagine the opportunities you would attract. Imagine the impact you could have on the people around you. Personal development doesn't just change your life. It changes the lives of everyone you influence. Your family benefits, your career benefits, your community benefits. Because when you grow, everything around you begins to grow as well. And remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be improving. One step forward each day is enough. Small improvements practiced consistently lead to massive long-term results. Years from now, you will look back at this moment and realize that the decision to invest in yourself was one of the most important decisions you ever made. So here's my final question for you. If you truly committed to personal development starting today, where could your life be 1 year from now? Think about that seriously. And if you're ready to take that journey, write this in the comments. I commit to my growth. Because the future belongs to people who are committed to becoming better than they were yesterday. And remember, the greatest investment you will ever make will always be the investment you make in yourself.